I'm so excited to do this training and help you. I hope that it is encouraging and insightful and actionable stuff that you can do today if you want. You're going to get a lot of done for you stuff. Who doesn't love that, right? Done for you stuff that actually works.
She has somebody else in the room. She has.
Greg, hello, Greg. St. Paul, Minnesota. Lauren from Atlanta. What's up, Lauren? Scott, Ontario. Akili, hi, my friend. Hi, John. Good to see ya. Welcome, Berkeley team. And share your title, because I know we have teams up in here. So that's great. Kara, are you spotlighted? No? Oh, it looks like you are for me. I don't know. But hi, Kara. Great to see you. Yes, awesome. Hi, Monica from Venture Lab. Welcome. Woohoo! Great. I'm so glad y'all are here. Okay, cool. So welcome to Events That Don't Suck. I honestly named it that because it was a fun name for me. Okay, it was selfish. I'm just gonna admit it. I thought, oh, let's do Events That Don't Suck. How about that? The reason that I named it that also is because events suck a lot of time and energy. Yes, maybe too much. And so, I don't think events are ever going to go away ever. And they shouldn't. I love events. I love events. I just want to share my entire playbook with you on how I do events differently so that they don't suck your time and energy. Are you down for that? And this particular way, I'm not saying that this is the quote right way. Okay. Do you hear me? I'm saying that this is the way that works for me, that I love, that costs you $0. Can you put that in the chat? Zero cost. Zero cost. Huge, huge motivator for me in terms of wanting to do something that's zero cost and low lift. Zero cost, low lift. When I say low lift, I mean low lift for you, the nonprofit. Woohoo, great. Okay. So that's what this is about. And I'm going to walk you through all of it. I'm going to walk you through why you should listen to me about this. I'm going to walk you through who I am. If this is your first time in a training or workshop with me, could you put a 1 in the chat? And if you could mute also, this is being recorded. So make sure you mute. I'm the one talking. It's me. Oh, there's so many new people. Oh, welcome. Amazing. Hi, Alice. Welcome. Good to see you. Cool. What's up? Okay. If you are a returning friend, put a 2 in the chat. What's up, vets? Put 2 in the chat. If you've been to one of my workshops before, if you are a client, if you are a former client, if you've been through Courage Lab, yes, these are all of the, you get me. You're my people. Great. Amazing. Look at all the 2s. Oh, so good to see you. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Matt. Hi, John. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, Laura. All right. You watched a lot. All right. I dig it. Okay. So let's jump in. I'm gonna, the famous Zoom words. I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, anyone else tired of hearing that? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm staying positive. I'm positive. It's good. It's so good. So grateful for Zoom. We love Zoom. Everybody put that in the chat. We love Zoom. Okay. La la la. Put in the chat what you are hoping to get out of this or your why. What is your personal why? Set your intention right now. What is your reason for being here and what are you going to get out of it? Put that in the chat. And if you could mute, that would be great. Okay. Try to figure out why my current organization does not do a single event like this. LOL. I hear you, Katie. Yeah. Save money, time, and energy. Yeah. Yes, John. Yes. Learn strategies to change the world. Yes, Lauren. Board is prioritizing events. Okay, cool, Kara. Okay. Intro to donors, take less time, strategy to raise more while maintaining balance. Yeah, okay. Find better, hi Risa, find better ways to connect with donors, higher ROI for us. Yes. We need more attendees. Yes, Matt. Great. Reduce pain. Ouchie. New ways to raise money, ideas. We need to expand our donor pool. Very small and overloaded at the top. Interesting, Greg. Monica says ditto to all of it. Anybody else? You're like, yeah, all of these answers too. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, figure out the low lift part. Lorenzo, I'm with you. Hi, good to see you. Yes, huge. All right. Welcome to Events That Don't Suck. This is all about donor acquisition, major donors. Okay. And I'm Julie. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I do not take it lightly, and I'm so grateful for your time. And this is going to be valuable. My hope and my intention is to exceed your expectations. So, who am I? I'm Julie, and I have been doing fundraising, particularly major gifts, for going on 15 years now, which is crazy. Time flies. I have helped teams to raise 50 million plus from individuals and family foundations. And I have never had a client that's a hospital or a large university. So that's why that's even more impressive. Ha! I've been running my own business for the last 6 years. I love what I do. I love who I work with. I work with the most amazing leaders who are they're go-getters. They're so smart. Some of them are here in this call today. They are absolutely changing the world, and I love what I do. And I'm obsessed with major gifts, fundraising. I could talk about it all day, and I pretty much do talk about it all day. And I personally am obsessed with growth. I am growth obsessed. If you want to hang around me, you got to want to get better. If you don't, I will be a thorn in your side. You will not like me, and I will be an irritant. That's my style. That's me. And what we're going to cover today is this is our agenda. I'm going to walk you through this strategy, and it's going to be a bit of a workshop in terms of I will give you time to think on your own and make decisions about this strategy and what's going to work for you. So you're not just going to hear me talk a lot and get a lot of information. I want this to be productive for you so that you can make it work. You can take what you want, you can leave what you don't. You dig? Not great? Okay. And I have, again, this project plan template. I have scripts. I have email templates. I have a whole thing that you can use. You will make copies and you can use it. Just use it. So great. Does that sound good? Everybody put sounds good in the chat if you're with me. And then I'm going to have a Q&A at the end. So please hold your questions till the end. We're going to have a whole time for that. Great. It's great. Y'all are doing great. Okay. So this is why you should care what I have to say about events. Okay. I started in 2010 and my very first gala, I got hired out at a community center in South Los Angeles, and I was their first like development hire. Okay, and I'm an entry-level development associate, and their gala had raised $25,000 the year before I got there. And they were like, look, if you could just raise
I'm
more
all
than
hooked up,
25K with
and
this
she's still in
gala.
the introduction. So
Oh, mute. Hello. Hey, everybody. Keep it on mute. Thanks. And and they were like, if you could raise more than 25K for your gala, that'd be great. So I was like, okay. I'd never done that before. Never. And we raised 50K, and it was so much work. This is a picture of me with my husband here. And you can't see it, but I'm really unhealthy. My hair is falling out. I lost a ton of weight. I was so stressed. I was working so many hours. It was really rough, but we exceeded our goal, right? And it was like I didn't really know better. I was out of college, and this was one of my first jobs out of college, my first fundraising job. And I was a one-person shop, and everything that you think of a traditional gala, we had that. We had a silent auction. We had a celebrity honoree speaker. We had a speaking program. There was a chicken dinner. There was, I mean, you name it. Okay. I had a bunch of volunteers. I managed hundreds of volunteers. I mean, it was a lot. I started working at United Way of Greater Los Angeles. I was a major gifts officer there, and talk about events. We had mixers for young professionals all the time. I mean, my job was events and dinners, happy hours, coffees, lunches every single week. I worked well over 60 hours a week every week. But I killed it. I just smashed it. I was the top 1% performer. There were 90 full-time employees. I did a lot of public speaking, a lot. I learned how to speak in front of people who do not care what you have to say. It was a lot of work. And I helped with the gala. We had massive fundraising events. Our keynote speakers were Kerry Washington for our Women's Summit. I was on the team there when we had Michelle Obama come and speak at our summit for veterans. I'm telling you that I've done every event that you could possibly think of doing. Do you hear what I'm saying? I did an art auction when I was a director of development. We raised $350,000 from selling high-end art. If you know anything about the art world, we had an Ed Ruscha, which was amazing. And that sold for like $86,000. And that was donated to us. I gave a lot of tours of our center. I did a lot of corporate workshops. Again, raised a lot of money, right? So how many of you would love an event that raised $350,000? That'd be great, right? And then I worked at News Story as a senior philanthropy officer, and a lot of the events there were more of the style that I'm teaching today. It were donor hosted gatherings that were intimate. And then I traveled a lot. At least once a month, I was on a plane across the US, meeting with donors in San Francisco and New York, and flying to Latin America about every 6 weeks and taking donors to see housing that they subsidized in Latin America. So you're spending, a 4-day long weekend with a group of like 5 donors. You can see that picture here. And you're on a bus in rural Mexico or rural El Salvador, and for 3 hours on the way to go see a development. So spending a lot of time with donors. Yeah. And I raised $2.5 million from about 50 people. And I mentored the major gifts team there. And then this is an event here. This photo is crazy. This is on top of a billionaire's home that is like a house that I have never seen in my life. This is in Miami. And I could talk about that event too. It incorporates a lot of the pieces of what I'm talking about today. So that's some of my history with events. Okay. And this strategy that I'm teaching you today is my favorite way to do events. Of all of the events that I've been a part of, this is my favorite. And you should listen to me because whatever you're trying to do, I've probably done. Except for a golf tournament, never done that. Never done a golf tournament. So, other than that, I've done 5Ks. I mean, I could go on and on. I'm not going to go on and on, but I think you get the point. If you get it, then you can put in the comments. I get it. Just put in the chat. I get it. I get what you're saying. I get why you're doing this. Okay. Because we work too hard, y'all. And the thing is that we don't have to. This isn't about like, can I, like, can I raise more money and can I handle a larger workload? Hello, look at your calendar and look at your career. The answer is yes, you can. You can handle a lot of work. You can raise more money. You have. The question really is, do you want to keep doing it the way that you're doing it? And the answer is probably no, and that's why you're here. Right? So it isn't about your ability. This isn't an indictment on what you can handle. Are you hearing what I'm saying? This is about, let's try to find a way that's sustainable for you. That matters to me. And that is my agenda. Yes, I want you to raise more money, but not at the cost of your health and your well-being. Great. So this is a review. There are 4 ways to get new donors, right? And there's buckets within each category. There's ads, so you can pay for stuff, right? You can pay for digital ads, print, you can get sponsors, you can get partnerships. There's organic content that you don't pay for, right? That's social media posting. That's putting long form videos on YouTube. Maybe you record tours or you do videos of your events. You put that on YouTube, blogs, podcasts, anything that's long form, free press, all of that is another way to get new donors. There's cold outreach, which I personally love. You could do that through social media, email, cold calling people. People do that. Obviously, it works because people still do it. And then there's referrals. So asking people who you're connected to connect you, right? And that's just straight up introductions. And then there's events. And that's what we're talking about today. We're not going to go into any of the other ways to get new donors. That is a totally separate training that I did. I don't even remember when I did that. Do y'all remember when? It was recent. I did it recently, like last month, the month before, maybe. So we're focused on here, right? Referrals and events. So here's the strategy. So this is how it's done. This is my favorite. It's an intimate gathering of 8 to 20, a dinner party, cocktail party, something like that. It's hosted by a champion supporter of yours in their home. It's not usually in a venue. There are reasons for all of this. Everything that I'm sharing with you here is intentional and deliberate and learned the hard way on my behalf. Okay. And I'm going to explain to you how that is. So of course, you're welcome to change anything that I'm saying so that it works better for you and your culture and your strengths and your team. But I'm telling you that this is a strategy that's worked for me. It's actually never failed. So hosted by a champion supporter in their home, they invite their network and friends. And you and your team, 2 or 3 people at the most, show up in person. And all you do is you show up. That's going to be hard for some of you. Okay. Spot it because you got it. You know what I'm saying? I've been there. Like, let go. You know what I'm saying? This is a chance to let go, y'all. You're just there to show up, meet people, and connect, build relationships, get to know people. Think of this like doing an introductory meeting with 8 potential major donors at once. In the introductory meeting, right, you you're not asking for money necessarily. You're trying to figure out, who are you? To what extent do you care about this? Are you going to help? Are you just talk? What's your deal? And then there is a speaking portion. It's brief. It's brief. And when I say brief, some of y'all know, I mean brief. And an invitation to continue the conversation. So the purpose of this zero cost, low lift donor strategy, new donor strategy, is to connect to new potential donors. That's the purpose. This is not a fundraising event. And this is where some of y'all are going to get hung up, because you're maybe in a tough spot and you need money now. And there are different tactics for that. But if you need new major donors, don't rush it. It needs to take its time. Okay. So this is the very first step. For some people, they are going to become a major donor at this event. For some of them, they will do that. For others, they're going to need a meeting after. This is the first step to connecting to you and to your team and your organization. Okay. So in the chat, tell me what you're hearing from this. What is one takeaway you've got so far? Yeah, speaking portion is brief. And that's going to be tough, but don't worry. I have some scripts for you, okay, that you can model after, use as a guide. But some of you are long-winded, and that's why you don't raise more money. Because it's like, oh my gosh, I have to read your dissertation before I can donate $10,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too much. We overcook the grits. I'm from Houston, okay? So I know I say overcook the grits. It's a very Southern thing, but okay. Speaking version is brief. In their home, not our facility. Yes, for sure. Connect first, ask later. Yep. And this is why some of us don't like fundraising, because we feel like we have to ask before we know people. Well, hey, how about stop doing that? Right? Oh, but I got to ask them, because no, you don't. The people who tell you that, how much money have they raised? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, like, stop it, stop it. Smaller gatherings can pack a punch. Yes, Risa, it's great. It's conducive to building relationships, right? It stands to reason, right? You're going to go deeper, faster with someone if you're with them one-on-one. So if you have 8 people versus whatever it would be at your gala or your summit, 1,000 people at a conference, good grief. Talk about stress. You're like, oh my gosh, there's 700 people I have to talk to. No, you can't. This is a long game. Yeah. The part about this not being a fundraising event broke my heart a little bit. Well, there's, again, this is what I'm saying has worked for me. So don't throw it out yet. I am going to share, if you want to make an ask, how to do it. Okay. So I'm not saying you can't do this as a fundraising event. You totally can. And I have. This is the way to do it that I think is the best. Again, if you don't want to do it this way, make it your own. Yes, Laura, not a lot of work building relationships. We don't control a lot of it. Huh. Interesting takeaway, Karen. We'll talk about that. This is an introduction. You're playing the long game. Connection is priority. It's not a fundraiser. It's not. Yeah. Let supporters introduce you to their network. Yes. Yeah. Age town. That's right. Yeah, here's the deal. If you need instant money, it's probably because you're not asking people straight up for money when you need to. So how about fix that? There's a part of nonprofit growth where you hit a ceiling because you're not going to raise more until you ask for more. There's only so much that your marketing, your charisma, your board, your social credibility, your talent can do for you. You're going to have to straight up ask for money if you want to raise more. There's a ceiling to all of that, of how much work that can do for you. If you need more money now, then you got to ask for it. That's not what this training is about. But if you all are like, well, where is the instant money button? Then that's a different challenge. And this is about major donors. So you have to decide, what is the value of a zero cost, low lift major donor strategy for us? Great. So here are the 5 biggest mistakes to avoid, and I'll explain why. If you're with me, put 5 in the chat. The first is the wrong host. You pick somebody who is not a donor. Some of you are going to pick people who are longtime volunteers. They're really beautiful people, but they have never given to you. That is a mistake. I have had people who are super rich, super, and they host these gatherings and they invite their friends, and no one becomes a donor because everybody there knows that the host is not a donor. So you're going to, this host is going to attract more people like them. So picking the right host is pretty much everything. You could have somebody who it's just not a priority for them. The timing's bad. The timing is bad. They could be a champion supporter and a donor, and it's not the right time. They just can't make it happen, and that's okay. Don't force it. Let's do it when it works for you. They're not available. Not available. Yikes. There could be someone who is the ideal person, and it's just, again, it's the wrong time. And so you're going to have to wait. So what I like to do is, in an ideal scenario, I leverage this strategy to do these once a quarter. And I talk to my list of hosts and I say, hey, I'd love for you to host an intimate gathering in your home for your network. You're the ideal person because XYZ, and we're going to talk about that. My goal is to do these once a quarter. Do you want to do fall, winter, spring, summer? What do you want? What works for you? For some people, fall's great. And then and then you go to your next potential host and say, hey, we've already got 2 people confirmed who are going to host. Now you're building momentum. Of course, you don't have to do this. You can work up to that. You could do 1, right? But ideally, having these once a quarter is going to build a pipeline for you and expand your network in a way that a lot of galas are not as effective in doing, because you're building warm relationships fast, much faster. Okay, so the next is you're getting, the next mistake is wrong guess. So you invite rich people, but they're not generous people. That's going to be a huge temptation. And you got to tell your host up front, look, we're looking for generous people. We're looking for generous people. Oftentimes, people don't really know how wealthy their friends are. They might have some inclination like, oh, this person's really wealthy, right? But sometimes they're wrong. And if you've been fundraising for a while, then you know that it's not always the richest person who's the most generous. So you got to be upfront and say, we're looking for people who are generous and they're interested in getting more involved or learning more about what we do. Having the wrong guess is a huge mistake. Don't just pick people who are rich. Yuck. Yuck. Okay, so here are the guest qualities. I think this is out of order. No, okay. Yeah, so guest qualities, they need to be generous. You need to have something in common with them, right? Do they have, if you're an education nonprofit, do they have a background in education? Do they care about that, right? If you're an arts organization, do they collect art? Do they care? Are they interested? So great question for your host would be, who do you know is a generous person and cares about this issue or would want to get more involved? When you think about inviting generous people, you're going to get people there who are going to be more likely to give and take some kind of action that you actually need. They're going to help you. Generous people actually help. Okay, what are you hearing in this so far? Put it in the chat. Real intention to give versus the vanity of larger events. Generosity over wealth. Inviting the right people is important. I need my host to give first. Damn straight. And if they don't, then you have your answer and you can move on with your life. Some of you are thinking that this really wealthy person is going to one day give you a lot of money and they're not. Sorry. We get distracted by wealth and we really need to see people for who they are. And I'm not saying you should give up on every rich, stingy person, but I'm saying that you probably have to be more selective and you got to go where there's passion, where there's enthusiasm, where there is a mutuality. Yes, Karen, hosts will need to support on the guest list. Yep. Yeah, that's great. Yes, Matt, pick a host who you'd like to have 10 of them. Yes. Yes, Greg, invite people who share our values. Yes. Great. Great. This is great. Here's more direct scripts that you can use. Who else should we be talking to? Who in your network should know us? Who do you know should support us? Who in your network cares the most about XYZ cause? Those are great questions to help your host think about their guest list. And wouldn't you rather have 8 of the right people at an intimate gathering where you could actually talk to 8 people and connect with them and see if you click than 100 people and you don't have no clue who these people are? Yeah. And then that's so much work on your plate. Oh my gosh, here's these 100 people that came to our event. We have to follow up with them. We have to build relationships. We have to do a campaign with. No, you don't. Yuck. Third mistake is it's too formal. You turn it into your traditional fundraising event. You got name tags, you got pledge forms, you got an iPad out. Hey, make sure that you fill out this form. Don't you just love going to a dinner party and filling out a form? Isn't that so fun? Hey, let's stop making events that suck, right? Like, let's just stop it. Let's just actually make events that are fun. What would you want to do? What would you want to go to? Got a long speaking program? Ooh. Ooh. Oh no, we're stuck. We're stuck. We're trapped. Oh no. And they will not want to come to any of your events and moving forward. They won't be coming back. They'll be like, oh, that's it. These people, they don't know when to shut up. I can't deal with it. So it sounds like a great cause. Here's $200. Please leave me alone. Is it too real for you? Look, I know. I've been there. It happened to me. There's a dress code. Make sure that you come with business smart casual. Who cares? Who honestly cares? Do you care? Do you really care about that? Do you? Do you really care? Because I don't think you care. It can, if you put a dress code, if you have a long speech, it communicates like we're like, our priorities are like the wrong stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like what vibe do you want to have with an event? You make it too formal and you're just like making it like, oh, there is a right way to operate in this event and I need to like put on my professional face. And that makes it harder to get to know people. These are barriers to connection. I understand that it's easier to know people's names if they're wearing a name tag. I get it. I really do. Please, if you, I mean, yeah, I'm basically saying don't do that. And if you do, just be like, yeah, Julie said to not do this, but we're doing it anyway. Just own it. Just own the fact that that's not what I advise you to do, and it's all good. Okay. The fourth, this is a big one. Not priming your guests. This is going, if you do this alone, huge game changer. Some of you put way too much pressure on a 2-hour event. You think that that person should go from knowing absolutely next to nothing about you to becoming a $10,000 donor or a $5,000 donor. And it's way too much expectation for one thing, for one event. So what I recommend is to do an email sequence introducing them to your organization, even if they're already on your mailing list. That's doing a couple of things. It's getting them excited about the event, and it's educating them and inspiring them on your organization and why you exist. And think about it. If you have people who are coming who are generous and who care about this issue already, then they're going to want to learn about what you're doing and what your work is. So a really big mistake is that they don't know you before they show up at the event. Yeah, so send an equals email sequence, use language that is affirming their identity as generous people. And I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a lot of email templates. So if you're reading this and thinking, Julie, I don't have time to do an email sequence, it's okay. You don't have to do it. I already wrote it for you. And then invite them to follow you on social media. So a really great, and some of you, how many of you have watched YouTube videos of mine? You've listened to my podcast, you read my emails. Put yes in the chat. If you've done any one of those things, if you've done all three, if you had to guess, how many minutes or even hours would you say that you've consumed my content? If you had to guess, what would you say? Put it in the chat. Maybe you watched a 5-minute video. Maybe you've listened to one podcast episode. That would probably be 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Yeah, look at that. The reason that I'm telling you this is because anywhere from 7 to 8 hours of consuming people's content leads to a high ticket sale. So that's true in the for-profit world. And I think it translates to the nonprofit world also when it comes to major donors. So if you can integrate and repurpose a lot of your highest performing content, blogs, videos, and send those links in these emails. And again, I'm going to give you templates and examples of this that you can make your own. I'm not asking you to create all new content. Remember, we're working smarter here. Yeah, this is crazy, right? So some of you said 10 hours, 5 hours, maybe an hour, at least 2. Wow. Thanks for listening. That's so nice. Wow, that makes me feel good. So you can do the same thing, right? So some of you might think, oh, short form. Everybody wants 20-second videos now. Nobody has attention span, blah, blah, blah. It's not true. Are you looking at the chat? If your stuff is good, people will listen to it. So maybe learn how to make better content, but long form is great. And if you send it in different forms, like some people, I've had people tell me, Julie, I'm in Zoom meetings all day. So if you send me a video, I'm not really going to be able to watch it until after my kids go to bed. But articles I read while I'm in meetings. Right? So you see what I'm saying? I'm not advocating you to do that. But my point is, like, link an article, link a video, link a whatever, your social media. So that way there's variation in the type of content, and they're going to be more likely to get at least one. Like, oh, I want to watch that or read that. Okay, and then the last mistake is the wrong ask. So you're giving people the impression that your intention is to just have a dinner, and then you bait and switch them with an ask. And so what I'm saying is be upfront with your purpose for the evening, whatever it is. Do not pretend like you're just doing this casual, intimate gathering for people who are interested in art, and then you make a really obvious, direct ask for money, and nobody knew that it was coming. That's just not my style. I don't think it goes well. I think you leave money on the table with group asks. Or you ask for nothing at all. Huge mistake. Like if you ask these people for nothing, meaning there's no next step, there's no, hey, let's keep the conversation going. Hey, you could, a call to action could be you're calling out all the team members and the board member, the host, and having them raise their hand and telling everyone, hey, I want you to talk to someone on our team about how you could get involved. Like that could be an action step, right? My favorite outcome for these events is to get one-on-one meetings with everybody who's actually interested. Because there's going to be some folks who maybe they're just not, they're like, oh, it's great, not for me. Okay, great. Now we know we can move on with our lives. But other people are going to raise their hand and they're going to want to take a next step. And you need to ask them and tell them what their next step is. And if you make a group ask, typically in these moments, it is not their best gift. Now you could say, okay, well, if it's their first gift and they give $1,000, then that's great. If that's a win for you, that's awesome. Then do that, right? And I'm gonna show you how I like to do that. But your purpose, your ask needs to align with your purpose. And 9 out of 10, a group ask leaves a lot of money on the table. And I have a chicken here because we usually ask people for money in groups because we're chicken, not because it's the way to raise the most revenue. We all know that, right? It's easier. It's less personal to get up in front of everybody and be like, hey, so could you just donate? There's an iPad in the back. It's not because it's the best strategy for major gifts. I know if I get a one-on-one meeting with highly qualified people who raise their hand, right? And if you get a meeting with them after that, then you already have, you know for sure they want to give. You see? When you ask in a group, you don't know why they're giving. They could be doing it because they feel pressure. They could be doing it because they're like, okay, well, I came, so here you go. My friend invited me and I want to support them. And that's it. But in a one-on-one conversation, you can get a lot deeper and you can ask for their best gift and you can find out what that is. So those are the 5 mistakes. What are your big takeaways with those 5 mistakes? What are you hearing from that? And again, we're going to have time to answer questions. The next thing I'm walking you through is the exact playbook. So we're going to get into even more detail with some of these things. So what's your one takeaway? Put it in the chat. Prime them ahead of time. Yeah. Be clear about what the next step is. Don't ask for nothing. Yeah. Don't do a bait and switch. Yeah. If you're going to make it a fundraising event, which maybe that is the right strategy for you, then tell people. Tell them, we're going to make an ask. You are going to have an invitation to donate at the dinner. Tell them up front. This does several things. It builds trust because you will actually put people at ease in knowing what to expect. If you're not going to make an ask, I like being able to say, there is not going to be an ask. This is an invitation to get to know you and see if we want to partner together. Like whatever it is, be upfront about it. You're going to get a better result. You're going to be more likely to achieve your purpose if you're upfront. Yeah, know your audience. That's great, John. Have a pre and post event communication plan. Yes, Katie, that's good. Yeah, connect with individuals is the goal. Find folks who want to continue the conversation. Don't ask large groups for money. Ask one-on-one. Don't chicken out on having the meaningful one-on-one conversations. Yeah. How many of you ask individual donors for major gifts straight up right now? If that's you, put a 1. And I'm not talking about email campaigns. I'm talking about you meet with people and you ask them straight up for money. Great. How many of you have not done that yet? Put a 2. You're inspirational and charismatic and people just give, so you don't really have to ask. Okay. I like the honesty. That's good. Great. Okay, let's jump into our playbook. So I'm going to share my screen and you're also going to get this copy here. Mickey, could you put the events playbook link in the chat? So I'm going to walk you through part of this. The link to this is in the chat, so you can open it yourself if you want. There's also a project plan template, but I'm going to walk you through that in a minute. Okay, so just stick with me. So here's how you can clearly communicate the expectations, this part right here. So this is what the donor is going to do. They host in their home. They provide the food and drinks. They handle all the logistics. You do not weigh in. Okay. And you can tell them that, hey, Sarah, I do not want you to ask me. Oh, Siri thought I was talking to her.
Sorry, something's wrong. And I wasn't able to do that.
Nice. You could say, hey, Larry, I don't want you to ask me about what flowers or what color tablecloth. It's all up to you. Run with it. You can describe what you want them to do and the kind of environment, the ambiance, the vibe, however you want to describe that. I like to say, look, it's casual. We're bringing people together. We actually want to get to know people who share the same values and who care about education. And then they invite their network and they're responsible for getting people there. Here's your responsibility, right? You support them with any comms that they need. So email templates, for example, you're helping to set the purpose and the intention. Here's what this is all about. Here's why we're doing this. This would be our suggested timeline. Also, don't freak out about that. I have a project plan for you. And then you show up and build relationships the night of, and you help with follow-up. So hopefully you're booking meetings after this with these people, and you're building relationships again with people who are raising their hand, who are saying, yeah, Kara, I want to meet with you. Okay, so here's the event plan template. I really like doing Thursdays. You're not competing with the weekend. And the end of the week, I think you have a better shot of getting more people there on a Thursday night than you do the beginning of the week. The beginning of the week is a bit more stressful. These are my thoughts. This is all based on my experience. I like 2 hours, particularly if it's in the evening, it's a dinner, that's great. If people hang out longer, that's great. You don't want to kick people out if you don't have to, but it'd be good to find out from the host, hey, do you have a hard stop? Do you want me to help you get people out of here at 10 or whatever it is? You want to respect their space, right? So if you're doing a dinner party, here's my suggested event template plan. It starts, you welcome people, you know, the host starts speaking around 7:30. Whenever you have a critical mass, let's say if everybody is there, if it's 10 people and everyone's there at 7:20, then great, start at 7:20. They're going to share their why and their endorsement. And then, you know, if you're the executive director, you're the development director, let's say it's you, then you're going to speak for 5 minutes maximum. I really like to talk about the problem. So if you go down here, right, team remarks, this part. So this is you talking if you're the nonprofit. You're going to thank the host. You're going to talk about your personal why. So mention the problem that you solve and why the organization exists. I recommend sharing a quick story. Stories can be fast, right? If it's let's say that you support local artists, right? Then you could say, our artist went from X, they came through our program and did Y, and now they are Z. There's a story. Okay, and then here is the invitation part. So here's something more open-ended, and then here's a script that's more direct. So the open-ended is, we're looking to expand our community of supporters. We want to meet you. We want to get to know you. That's why you're here. If you feel compelled to get involved, we would love it. Our intention tonight is to get to know you and see if there's an opportunity to partner together. This could be the moment where you have your team raise your hand and say, we want to get to know you. Here are the people who work at the Teaching Well. Here are the people who work at Masterworks. Here are the people who work at Aspire, Venture Lab, whatever your organization is. So that's something more open-ended. I've said this in front of people and it absolutely works. I did, they wanted to have, the host wanted to do a slideshow, so we did. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it. But the host was like, I think it'll be really good. Y'all's photos are amazing. It's true, they were. And the dinner, this particular dinner was in their backyard and it was really, lights strung in the backyard and in the evening. And there was a really big screen. So it kind of felt like drive-in movie vibes, it was kind of fun. So it wasn't because I really don't want it to be formal and stuffy, right? I'm anti-stuffy. So it didn't end up being that, which was great. And people enjoyed that. They enjoyed the visual. You could put visual stuff on the table if you wanted. You could do that. You don't have to do that. A script that's more direct is, we are growing and we are looking for generous folks to join us in giving. The number one need we have is financial support. Some of you need to get used to saying that in general, period. Hey, I'd love to help. Hey, how can I help you? Oh my gosh, I love what you're doing. Oh my gosh, Erica, you're amazing. Alice, love your work. How can I help? And then your response is, I love it. The thing we need the most right now is financial support. Some of you need to practice saying that. We have to get real about what we actually need. If you're hearing me, put that in the chat, get real. Some of you need to do this. You actually need this direct script. And you're going to build trust with a lot of your supporters if you just tell them straight up what you need. They're like, oh, great. That's what you need. Oh, that's now I don't have to play these guessing games. Because every time I talk to you, you tell me how, oh, things are good. Oh, you're so good. Thanks for, it's like, oh, I guess you don't need anything. I guess I'm doing good. Takeaways so far. Put it in the chat. Very clear call to action. Yeah. Yes, Isabel. Katie, set everyone up for success with clear expectations. Yes. Are you noticing a theme? Be honest. It takes guts to be honest. Practice saying, we need unrestricted dollars. Yes. And what's awesome about that is when you communicate what you actually need, then people are going to either do it or they won't. And then you can have your answer and then you can move on with your life. How many of you spend a lot of energy playing these mental mind games with donors and board members? Oh, are they going to give? Oh, what does this mean? Oh, they said that. And it's like we play these guessing games and it's unnecessary. Yes, Alice, they have their own duties. Absolutely. I really do want you to support with the comms needs and set clear expectation, but then otherwise like lay off, like let them run with it. And you're going to need somebody who is available to do that. Okay. So I want you to take a few minutes right now And I want you to think about, this is going to be your thinking moment here on your own. Think about and come up with a list of potential hosts. And even if you can only come up with one is great. And I want them to meet that criteria, that they are people who, what did I say again? They're donors. They got to be donors. They got to already be a donor. If it is a board member who is not a donor, they're not ready yet. You have a step before that, and that's to get them to be a donor. Think about who would you want to host? What would be your ideal scenario? Take a couple minutes and think about that. EJ says, do you have any thoughts on family members of staff hosting if they themselves are donors? Cool. I like it. Why not? It's great. Sounds like a blessing. Okay, it's been a couple minutes. So write in the chat how many people you wrote on your list that you feel pretty good about. Potential host for something like this. Whoa. Holy moly, y'all are blowing me away. That was more than I thought. Dang. This is great. Oh, I'm so excited for you all. Oh, that's so good. Wow. Dang. 9, 7, 8. This is great. What are you realizing doing this exercise? You can unmute if you want. Just keep it, get to the point. Please don't tell us a whole backstory. Have y'all been on Zooms like me? Because I've been on some Zooms, okay? How many people are in my corner? Casey, I love that. I might cry. It's fine. I'm gonna hold it together. It's I'm good. There already is a pool of qualified hosts. Yes, that's fantastic, Alice. I get in my own way too often. Yeah, Jennifer, I hear you. Karen, I like that. It's nice to have something to ask of our donors in addition to money. Yeah. I need more generous people on my board. I hear you, Matt. Yes. Woo. I need to have a conversation with potential hosts now. Fantastic. Yeah, Katie, ouchie. Yeah, you got to ask for money, ask for connections. Here's something that I've learned, okay? In building a culture in your organization or on a team, where people are active, it requires them to feel challenged. If they don't feel challenged and if they don't feel useful, they will leave. That is, and maybe their spirit will leave and their body will remain. You're like, hello, is anyone here anymore? Right? You go to your board meeting and they're like, looks good, Matt. Thank you. Great job. Yeah. Budget approved. Yep. No questions here. Yeah. Nothing. Nobody talks. Huge red flag. The biggest red flag of all the red flags. And it's ironic, right? Here we are drowning in work. Oh my gosh. So much work to be done. Too much. And we don't want to put anybody out. And by not putting them out, right, by not imposing, we're literally saying, I don't need you. All the while inside, we're like, oh my God, when are these people going to step up? Here's the key. Donors and board members step up when you do. You keep playing it cool and you're going to be doing this solo and you're going to be bitter and resentful and burnt out. And I am on a crusade against this. Do you hear me? And I will not stop. There are generous people who will help you over and over and over again, and they will surprise you. And newsflash, some of them are more generous than you are. Have you ever considered that? Some people might actually outgive you. They would surprise you. Do you take advantage of that? And will you? I wonder. We reach out to the same top donors a lot. I'm wondering who else donates that we could engage more in this way. Yeah, and I mean, you could ask them if you're reaching out to them too much. They'll tell you. Ask for feedback. Don't assume. This is a huge mistake in fundraising in general, is somebody's giving us $200,000 or $50K or whatever you think is for you is a really big amount, $25K. And you need to raise more money, but you're like, we can't go to them. They already give enough. They already donate $200,000. That's already enough, not them. Mistake. It's not your job to budget their philanthropy. That isn't your gig. Stop doing their job. Stop it. Your job is to ask, is to say, hey, here's our goals. Here's what we're trying to do. You want to be a part of it? And bring the energy, the anti-desperation energy, which is like, look, we're changing the world with or without you. Do you want to come? It's cool if you do. If you don't, also totally cool. I'm good. That's how I am. I'm like, you don't have to ride this train. For some people, I literally did a training and it was one of my very best trainings. And I had someone in the chat say, this lady is nuts. I'm out of here. And she left. And I was like, wow, that happened. Okay. My point is, I would not be so presumptuous to think that I am the coach for everyone. And I'm good with that. Your organization is not going to be for everybody. And that's okay. It's okay. Aren't you going to change the world whether or not this particular person gives? Yeah. So stay committed to the process and hold loosely the outcome, meaning stay committed to doing what it takes to raise money, commit to the process, And don't get so caught up in it being any one particular donor. That is a free way to stress. Yeah, hosting would be really fun. I like that, Megan. Absolutely. We want it to be fun. We don't want to do events that suck. Tell your host that. Hey, can you make it fun? Do you want to do a theme? Whatever you want to do it your way. Do it your style. How do you like to do it? What's the most fun event that you've ever hosted? And let them run with it. Yeah, this is so great. I love your ahas. Okay. Back into our document we go. Are you ready? So this is the outline for the dinner party, right? It's pretty much the same thing with a cocktail party. It's just, you don't sit down and eat. No duh. Okay. Pre-event, this is an outline. This is just in writing the stuff that I said. It just makes your life easier. Potential host, guest list, questions to ask. There's the email sequences down here. I am a board member. I'm on the board of an organization called the Teaching Well, and they're an incredible education organization. They're headquartered in Oakland. And so this is an actual email that I've sent. This isn't like some made up thing. So this is a board announcement template. Let's say that it is a board member who's hosting this gathering for you, then this could be like them telling their whole network, hey, I'm on the board. Great way to let people know. Great way to raise money. Actually, I had several of my friends in my network donate as a result of just this email. Great. So talk about the problem. I put some links in here. Yeah, it's long, but people read it. And the link to donate is in the bottom, and people actually donated. So that's how I know that they at least skimmed it. Here's the invitation template. So, hey, I'm hosting an intimate gathering of friends in my home and you're invited. Look at that. Talking about the problem right out of the gate and why are you inviting them? This is not a nice to have. This is imperative. People need to know why them. So here I'm saying you care deeply about education. You're a generous person. You understand this issue. I think the team should know you. I adore you. I mean, that's what I wrote. Then I put, this is not a fundraising event. There won't be a formal ask. It's the start of a conversation. Of course, if you'd like to donate, we would absolutely love it. There is zero pressure. And that is actually true. These are not words. This is authentic. Do not lie to people. Do not tell them that it's not a fundraising event and then actually get really desperate and think, oh my God, look at all these rich people in this room, and then ask for money. Stick to your word. There is no faster way to erode trust and lose and break relationship. Yikes. Yeah. There's another invitation. Wait. Oh yeah. So this is a template if you could send to the other board members. Let's say they live near the host and they want to bring a +1. This is an email template for them. Hey, I'm attending an event hosted by Julie Ordonez on September 9th. And I'd love for you to be my +1. That's if you want to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to. Another great thing, because some of y'all said you have, 17,000 potential hosts. So you could have them come to this event, bring a +1, and learn how it's done. Your potential hosts. You see? Great strategy. Love it. Working smarter. Again, I'm inviting you for a few reasons. Why is this person being invited? If you don't tell them They will assume why they are being invited. And it may not help you, their assumption. Their assumption could be, oh, great, here's another charity who just wants my money. But when I tell them when I say, hey, I'm inviting you because of who you are, because I perceive you to be a generous person, and because I think you really care about this issue, and those reasons are true, then you should say that. Great. Here's the sequence email templates. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all these. Okay, you can read. There's 5 emails in here, and then there's post-event follow-up email sequence. Of course, you can make these your own. In the follow-up, I'd love for you to ask for a meeting for the people who you really clicked with. We'll talk about how you can do this when we go through the project plan in a minute. But this is for you to use. Any questions so far? So great question, Casey. Ideally, it could be written by the host. Some of them could be written by the host, and some could be written by the team. They can all come from the host's email and have you CC'd on them. I've done that. That's ideal. Okay, let's go through the project plan here really quick. So planning stage, get a meeting with the potential host. No duh, right? Go through all that. Whoops. Click file and you should be able to make a copy for this. So it's your own. 4 to 8 weeks out, you want to send the invites. Have the host CC you on all the emails so that way you can collect emails and they know that up front. Start sending your email sequence, send the event logistics email, send a reminder. After the event, debrief with the team who's there and the host immediately after. Don't wait till the next day. Just say, hey, we're going to have a quick 10-minute powwow. We're going to have a 10-minute post-event chat and debrief. And that's when you're going to talk about conversations you had. What did you learn about the people who were there? Who said that they wanted to get more involved? And then you're going to divide the follow-ups amongst the team and the host. And you can ask the host for advice because it's their guest, right? So, hey, do you think that this person, I should meet with them with you? Should we do Zoom? Should we do a lunch in person? Should we do a coffee? Should I go by myself? What do you think? What do you think is the best next step? And divide it all up. So it's not all on your plate. The host might say, these 2 people I want to talk to on my own. I'll follow up with them. You don't need to. Right? You can divide up the follow-ups. And then next day, send a thank you email. I like asking people if they took photos, if they want to share them. You could create like a shared photo album of some kind. Get your host and your team to write down their notes of what they learned about people, right? So it's as if they had a 5-minute donor meeting. Write down those notes and put it in your CRM. And then have them, hey, send me your notes, by tomorrow. What did you learn about who you talked to? Who did you talk to? Send a thank you gift to the host. I don't know if you like me, it's really difficult to send a gift to someone who literally has everything that they could ever want. So I find that a video of certain guests and maybe your team, like recording themselves on their camera, on their phone for like 10 seconds. So like a personalized thank you. And you just send over those videos. I find that to be really sweet. And the hosts love it. The hosts love it. That's a really great thank you gift for the host. And then, you know, your next steps are you're sending your post event sequence, your whatever your next step is, right? Based on who the guests are. Is it that they're ready to donate? Right? They're like, Jennifer, I'm in. Tell me how to give. Great. Then the follow-up is here's how you give. Right? The follow-up is let's get a meeting. The follow-up is they want to get their company involved somehow. I mean, you have to be straight up about what you need so that they can respond to that. The Teaching Well is also asking for retreat space. So, you know, I'm hosting an event in September for the Teaching Well in my home. I'm literally doing this and planning it. And I'm going to say, hey, we need financial support. And they'd really love a retreat space for their team. So if you have the hookup, let us know. That's it. Book meetings, ask for referrals. For some people, it might not be that they're a donor, but they might connect you to someone who they know. Oh my gosh, this person, you need to get this person. You know, they're the head of philanthropy at this foundation. I need to introduce you. Whatever it is. So this is your project plan. Okay, so how are we feeling? How are we feeling? Feeling good? Inspired. Great. Casey, woohoo. Okay, so now we're going to do Q&A. So you can unmute. If you want, you can ask questions in the chat too. It's totally up to you. No pressure either way. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Julie, I have a question. If we have people on our board who don't feel comfortable hosting in their home, are there other venues or options that you found that are low cost that work well?
Great question. Thank you, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
What's your Aspire Public Schools?
Yeah, Lindsay OG from Teaching Well.
Aha. Nice. Yeah, I have all your names. I will show you. All of your names are on post-it notes. Yeah. So I was ready for you. Great question, Jessica. So I would find out why.
Yeah, I think
why are you not comfortable hosting in your home? Can I know why?
Yeah, it's our foundation board and they're a younger group. And so they're likely in LA where it's apartments and small spaces. And so they wouldn't really have the space to necessarily host 8 people. But they do have a network that they would want to invite. It's just the space issue.
Okay. And they told you that?
No, but this is relatively new board, so I'm making that assumption, but I'm wondering if I'm just trying to think of like what barriers they might come back to me with. So I'm wondering if there are other venues or spaces that like, you're like, yeah, and here's an alternative that works really well.
Got it. Okay. So first of all, I'd ask, I wouldn't make that assumption at all. It's fine if their place is small. It's totally fine. I think you can reassure them of that. The whole point is that it's intimate and it's personal. And let's say that they're like, hey, I don't have the space. They literally don't have it. Then great. Is there someone that you would invite who would be willing to host it? So now they're doing it with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Likely the answer is yes. I have done these in, bars and restaurants. It's extremely loud and it's a pain in the ass. And you can't really hear people yes, people are going to come to an event like that. They are. But the whole point of this is to actually get to know people. So yeah, I would insist on it being in somebody's home. That's the best that I've seen that it does. The turnout rate is higher if it's in someone's home, because it's their friend's house. So they're going to be more comfortable going there. And if if it is small, that's totally fine. I mean, yeah, I live in Pasadena now, but I lived in LA previously and had a really small apartment, and I definitely hosted stuff. And we sat on the floor and it was great. So, um, make some memories, you know?
Perfect. Thank you.
I have a question. It's Emma.
Hi, Emma.
Hello. So one of the things that I'm just curious about is that the people I'm thinking about asking to host is that they've invited all their friends to come to our previous events. So would you recommend suggesting they invite new people who they haven't been dragging along to all our events?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I would just say invite the people who meet this criteria, who you consider to be generous and who you think care about what we're up to or would be interested to learn more. That could be people who've come to an event before. That could be brand new people. Why not?
Thank you.
Is there a reason why you think it would not be people who've been before?
From my experience, I feel like they're kind of capped at what they can give, and that they don't seem to, they're never really growing because they've
Based
been
on
coming
what?
for quite a long time
They're tapped on what they can give based on what?
from previous events. There's a very limited amount, and maybe they only want to come to one particular type of event, and that's just what they do, what they go to. So that's what I was wondering if we should suggest, hey, maybe if you've got someone who's never heard of us before.
So you asked them for money at an event and they gave, and so you're thinking that's the most they can give.
Well, they only seem to like to go to a certain type of event, and then it's kind of like just very repetitive, and then they just give the same amount, and they'll maybe come to others, but then they won't give.
So you do a lot of events,
We do.
and at the events, every time there's an ask.
Yes.
Yeah. So great chance to break it up and do something new.
For sure. Definitely. I'm excited about
and
that.
get a different result.
Okay.
Because then you'll actually find out if people want to help you or if they're just coming to an event because they want to look philanthropic and throw $200 down.
Right. And that caring, supporting their friend. So,
Yeah.
okay.
And for some people, that's good. Their motivation is to support their friend and they want to do good in the world. They're not like so passionate. And that's okay.
Okay.
Like,
Thank
let's
you.
find out who is really passionate. This is a great strategy to do that. Thank you. It's a great question. I see we have more in the chat. Okay, Kara says, we host an annual event for about 30 to 50 major donors and potential major donors. We're planning this again this fall. At that event, we share some impact, share a meaningful story, and we make an ask. We've had supporters say that they wait for this event to determine their year-end support across the organizations they support. Wow. Learning more about this framework, would you recommend scrapping our traditional model this fall? How much money does it raise?
Usually we get our year-end match. So it's like our match that we'll push out to like our annual donors, and anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000.
Okay. So of all the donors who are there, it's 30 to 50. So let's say it's 40. Let's split the difference. Okay. What percentage of the 40 do you think are giving their best gifts?
Less than 10% for sure.
Damn. Okay. So what do you want to do?
I'm torn because our biggest donor, or I guess our second biggest donor, said, my wife needs to go to this event to hear your ask and compare it to all the other events she's going to and hear their ask to determine how much we're going to give to you. So I think that's where I'm torn. It's not a heavy lift by any means. It's just boring. And they're invited to it. Same people are invited to it every year, and I can't imagine they're looking forward to it either.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what are you torn about?
Not having an ask and not having a match pool. But I guess I could start now, right? So we have a couple seasons, do some of these events, have some one-on-one meetings, ask them if they would make a gift. And we could still leverage that gift as a match for the annual donors. Kind of what I'm thinking.
This is gonna sound maybe however it's gonna sound. It's gonna sound maybe arrogant, but I'm really good at major gifts.
You are, yeah.
I'm very good. I have met with some of the richest people on the planet. I have sat across from some of the smartest people who ask really hard questions, and they have kicked my ass. And I have needed to raise millions of dollars, and I have. And I'm telling you that you can get so far in a one-on-one meeting than you ever could at an event. You will raise more money sitting across one-on-one from a person than you ever will at a fundraising event.
Okay. That's
and you're
helpful.
telling me that that's true, right? Your particular case study is validating my experience as well. That you're saying less than 10% of the donors who come give their best gifts, and you're still torn about what you would like to do.
Well, when you put it that way.
I'm just
No,
repeating what you
yeah.
said.
Yeah, I'm sold. Yeah, agreed. And Greg here says I answered my own question. I did. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, it's great because I would venture to guess that your top 3 donors who go there, if they gave their best gifts, let's say that that's 5 hours of work total, including the meetings themselves and then the work to get the meeting, could more than could exceed what you raise every year from that event. If the top 3 gave their best gifts, if you don't even have to get all 40 to give their best gifts, you don't. If you got your top 3 to give their best gifts, you would exceed your goal for your event from 3 meetings. And I have a free training on YouTube on how to get those meetings. It'll give you email templates and a script. You can literally rip that from what I shared. Get the meeting, ask for the money. Now, here's the challenge. It takes real guts to sit across from this lady who you're used to just sitting in an event and listening to a pitch to a whole group. Now you're sitting across from her and saying, I want you to give $100,000. And here's why. And the reason we don't do that is because it takes guts and a lot of energy to do that. And we would rather work our fingers to the bone to do a boring ass predictable event. Yuck. Are we in the business of raising money or not? Right? It's like, what's going to actually help us exceed our goals? in a sustainable way. If you told me that everybody loves your gala and it energizes you and it raises all this money, I would say, no, don't get rid of it. A factor in my decision making for my job is always what would be fun for me to do. For some of you, that's really radical. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What would be a great use of your time? Interesting questions to ask. Are there any other specific events that you recommend to apply these same tactics to? Great question. You could do tours. So if you have a physical space, you could also use this exact same strategy and do tours. You could go to a board member and say, hey, we want to do a private tour and we want you to host it. And it could be a lunch. And they could foot the bill for the food. They could get people there. You do the tour, you do the walkthrough. And you could even have like a little debrief at the end, like, hey, what did you learn about our organization? What did you like? What did you appreciate? Here are the 3 things that we need: financial support, retreat space, volunteers for this event. I don't know, whatever it is that you need. Are there, and this is the menu of options to get more involved. If any of that interests you, let me know. Let's talk. Let's continue the conversation. That's a much better use of your time. I like tours. I think it could be really strong to do that. If tours go well for you, then double down on that. Use this strategy to leverage your tours and optimize what you're already doing that's working. Can you share some of the success stories you've had from these types of events? What kind of metrics might we shoot for? So booking meetings after the event, one-on-one meetings is a very strong metric for success. More meetings, more money. More meetings, more money. No way around that. More calls, more money. More Zooms, more money. Another is introductions, referrals. You could look back and see, 6 months ago from when we had this event to now, has anyone there made a gift? Great way to know if this is working. But a lagging indicator, right, is revenue. But how do you get out in front of a gap? What are the indicators of things you should be tracking that you know are part of the process that increase the likelihood you'll raise revenue? And that's conversations. So how many phone calls, Zooms, meetings are you booking with the right people? And are you disqualifying people? Are you saying, okay, we had 8 people come to this event and 2 of them are not interested? Great. That's a great success metric. Some of you need to disqualify your leads a lot faster, especially if you're a bigger organization. You're gonna have to move on with your life. Some people are just, they're not available. It's not the right time. It's okay. Do hosts need to donate money? Well, we know the answer to that. They need to be a donor. Yes. Or would it work if they donate their time through volunteering? I'm thinking of some of our people who are really invested through volunteering and they've donated small amounts, but they know us better than many of our financial donors. So they are a donor. It's okay. if they gave, 20 bucks or whatever, that's a donor. They need to at least have the experience of giving to your organization. So they can say, join me, rather than, hey, you guys give. Elle, would you like to give a bit more because it seems like you're kind of contradicting yourself. You're saying they're volunteers, but they give, but they're not major donors. Is that what you mean?
Hi, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, we have a lot of people who are really invested in our events and really invested in volunteering with things. They're just not major donors, so I didn't know if they needed to have a certain level.
Yeah, I mean, you're more likely going to attract birds of a feather. So whatever part of the strategy here and why this works is hosting this event is like celebrating them, right? It's a way that they're actually being honored in front of their network. And so what you celebrate is what you're going to get more of. And so some of you have volunteers coming out your ears because you celebrate volunteerism all the time. And that's fine. But if you actually need donors, then you need a donor. And it's time to focus on that. If you need more volunteers, great. Then celebrate volunteerism, get more volunteers, tell people you need volunteers. If you need more donors, like get a donor. It doesn't, it's not necessarily one or the other, right? You might see that person as primarily a volunteer. But in this capacity, they're both. They're both a volunteer, and it's going to add to their credibility that they give so much of their time. Absolutely. And I think that's beautiful and awesome. And, right, they're coming from a place of, I'm also a financial supporter. I do both. Does that answer your question? Is that helpful? Elle, is that good?
Yes, that was great. Thank you.
Oh, you got it. We have something, Laura, we have something coming up at someone's home, and your steps are going to help so much. But the host has the idea of inviting up to 60 people. Dang. She has a very big house that they built for this purpose. Oh, that's so cool. Do you think we should suggest a much smaller list? It seems like this is too many people for us to connect with. Ooh. Ooh. I like this question. Okay. So Laura, are you here, Laura?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello. Thank you for this great question. Do you know, or what have been the guardrails around the guest list?
So it is a donor who is really excited. She wants to invite some friends, and she also asked to connect with another volunteer who's in her town who also so it's in Houston and we are based in Austin, so it's a great opportunity for us to connect with some people in a different city. So she's, I think, thinking big in that way, like people who are interested and people who are generous.
Okay.
Just a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So a few things. What I would do is go over the list with her and find out line by line why she wanted to invite these people. I've done that. I'm like, hey, let's talk about your guest list. I want to get to know these people. And then line by line go through and up front, I would say, hey, thank you again so much for doing this. We really want to invite people who you consider to be generous and you think are a really good match. Like they care about what we're doing. They're interested in learning more about this. So I'd love to learn more about these people. And that alone may, as she goes through, like, oh, actually, this person, maybe not, you know, or what, like it might, but if the invites have already gone out, then that's that. So, but I would do that and see what comes of that. You should definitely help to shape and guide what's going to suit your purposes best, right? And the host wants to be helpful. They want to be helpful. So you have to tell them the help that you need. Otherwise, they're going to make it up. They're going to make it up. And then it might not be what you need. It might be unhelpful. Right, which would be such a shame. So, alternatively, you could say, you know, hey, why don't we, because we want this to really be about building relationships and connecting with people, why don't we do 2 events? And, you know, invite 30 to this one and then invite 30 to the next. Another idea. Because I don't know, I mean, the bigger the guest list, right, then, you know, it's one date, then the fewer folks who might be able to come anyway. So you could kind of tell her that and see what she says. Alternatively, it doesn't have to necessarily be your team, your staff. You could get more board members there. You could get more volunteers, people you trust who know the organization, and put them to work. Be like, hey, we have this event. She's inviting 60 people. We're thinking it's going to be 40 plus. We need more help to just meet people. Can you come and connect with all of these people? And delegate it. Ask for help. Tell people what you need help with and see if they'd be willing to come. They probably will. They probably want, it sounds like you have people who want to help you. That's what I'm picking up. So that's great. That's awesome. Great job, Laura. Everybody give it up for Laura.
Thank you.
You could totally do 60. That just means you need more people to work the room, right? And like connect and represent the organization, so to speak, from a board member perspective, from a volunteer perspective. You could totally do it. I just don't feel like, oh, now that means I got to do it all. No, no, no. Right? Follow the plan. Okay, great. You're going to follow up with these 5 people. I'm going to follow up with these 5 people. You know, divvy it all up. Some people are introverts and their job is going to be connect with one person.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's very good, because likely they're going to become best friends with whoever they pick. They're going to go deep. Right? So that's great too. Divvy up the responsibilities based on people's talent level and their ability. So if some people can work the room, like if I was there, right, you might give me the job of connecting with 12. If you gave me too few, I might get bored. Right? So you want to, hey, an individual goals, kind of, so to speak. If you just say, everybody meet 5 people, what you end up doing is you're stressing somebody out. And the other person, you're maybe boring them. You see? So let's not do that. Does this help, Laura?
Yes. Thanks so much.
You got it. Do you think this approach could work to invite people who are already donors, but at a lower level, not so engaged? Yeah, Karen. Oh, yeah. Totally. I like that. Should we have marketing materials at these events? Impact for flyers, QR codes. Emma, so that's the purpose of the email sequence, the lead up. So whatever you would want to put on a table, whatever you're feeling, oh, you want to make it a fundraising event. The more that you do that, the more that it feels like a job for everybody there. It feels like work. So we really want to get to know people and have them connect with each other and open up. So send the impact report link be in the email sequence leading up. That's the whole purpose of that. So they come to the event and they're already warm. You're not, and this is part of why events fail and they're so hard. It's such a heavy lift because you're taking somebody from ice cold and you want them to be burning hot. and ready to give in just 2 hours. And that's not how it works for most people. So we can't, so we want to warm them up, so to speak, and get them primed. Beth says, we have an appreciation luncheon awards presentation already planned for volunteers, partners, landowners. We're an environmental org. Major donors and planned givers are also invited, but this is not a fundraiser. Our longstanding annual tradition to connect and pour on the love. We expect about 100 guests. We are already on the hook for this. Any tips for this type of event besides canceling that may help donations down the road? I think I would just pose the question, you know, how can you delegate and involve some of your supporters in helping you make it creative and interesting? What have you done in the past that people really loved that was fun and different? Something that I did when we had our gala was I was at the welcome table and I memorized everyone's names, and it was 300 people. And I memorized their faces and their names, and I knew them before they got to the table. And I said, "Hi, Emma, welcome." And they were like, some people were so surprised and delighted, and some people were like, wouldn't let it go. They were like, "How do you know who I am?" And some people totally expected to be known, right? Yeah, I mean, just do something fun, you know? What would you enjoy? What feedback have you gotten from people? What would be a way to bring your creative best in just one thing? If you just changed one thing. Ooh. Okay. We hold club tours throughout the year, not hosted by a board member or donor, but hosted by us. And we tell them 1 hour, no ask. We'll follow up with them after. The board helps us make invites to get people there. We have 2 set for tomorrow, 10 and 2 at this juncture. What do you see as the most important pieces to add in? If you could send one email today from the email sequence, pre-event email sequence, it's like, hey, if you have an extra, you know, if you have a minute, would really love for you to watch this video or look at this blog post or something that's a really high performing marketing asset that you already have. Even if one person looks at it and reads it, that's better than them just showing up cold. Does anyone on the board, are they going to be there? Anyone on the board?
For this one, none of our board members are coming, but part of our setup is that we tell our board, we appreciate you making the ask, you are welcome to join, but it's also not an expectation as long as you tell your guests that you are not coming.
Okay, got it. And do you do research on these people? Do you know who they are?
Nope, but I'll add that to the list for next time. We get little cliff notes. This person, I know them from here, that kind of a thing.
Okay, yeah, I would do a quick Goog, you know, Google, who is this person? Where do they work? How's their company doing? What's their title? Look them up on LinkedIn. Even if you just do that and you know, I mean, maybe you have mutual connections in common maybe you've worked at a place that they used to work. There might be some kind of commonality. I would totally do that. Could group by reason for giving, the issue, the level of giving, also how many can you follow up with in a reasonable amount of time? I'm not sure I understand the question. Or you're offering up an idea, you're saying you could group them by the reason for giving. Okay, we are re-engaging back into the city we founded 11 years ago, which is where top donors remain and probably feel neglected. How can we make a greater impact on growing their donorship and introing new donors at the same time? Okay. I don't mean to be like snarky, but like just do what we've been talking about. Is there something missing that I'm not getting? Just like do this. Is my response to that.
Agreed. I just don't know if there's a particular, hidden pathway when you bring those two very distinct type of donors together. Some will evangelize, some don't care to repeat it. They just know why they're there and they're there for 10 years, or they like what they see in their city.
Okay, so what's the question?
It basically is just if there was a secret sauce to bringing those two types of donors in such an intimate space. I don't mean on a large scale, something along the lines we've been talking about. What would you do?
I guess I'm confused because I'm walking you through exactly what I would do. So what do you feel is missing?
Maybe I don't feel like there's something missing.
Okay.
I think I'm always after sometimes there's this hidden gem, unicorn, whatever you want to call it, that pops into your mind on some idle Tuesday at a red light. I just am trying to tap into that right now. If you or others might have a very specific example that worked for you. Again, I know everything is different. All the variables play out in different ways. I get the entire context of. I've really enjoyed, have some really good notes today. I'm just trying to tap that next layer if that exists for anybody at this time.
Yeah, I think try this for yourself and see how it goes, right? You got to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So starting is the challenge. So execute, and then you can iterate and optimize.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Is this strategy totally different than an event strategy might look like for stewardship of existing major donors? We've been doing a gratitude event for major donors the last couple of years as a touch point during the year. Hard to know ROI. I've definitely done this event. I've had clients do this event for current donors only. And it's like let's get together and celebrate and talk about how well things are going and talk about challenges and kind of rally around like, oh, it seems like they really need help with this thing. What do we want to do about that kind of thing? And it feels very organic. Yeah. And again, it's like donor hosted. So you might have just one staff person at that event. You're not trying to overwhelm it and make the ratio 50-50 or something. No, no, no. Yeah. And the ROI, I mean, you should look at the people who go to those gratitude events. I'd look at how long have they been giving? What's their lifetime value of their giving? Has their giving gone up? Have they referred other people to you? Do you know? You could ask them for feedback. What is it about this gathering that they love the most? Yeah. Yeah, is that helpful?
Yeah, thanks.
You got it. Okay, so I am doing another training next month. You want to hear about it? Yeah, of course you do. Okay. So it is la la la. Can you see that? Okay. Yeah, end of year major gift strategy. So come the end of August, we are going to do a 2-day planning workshop. It is going to be you going through your major gift asks from September through December and your donor engagement plan for the rest of 2024. Are you seeing that slide? Okay, I was like, maybe I was misreading some faces. Okay. It's a 2-day workshop. If you are interested in that, you can sign up. It's already on my website. It's going to be $297, and then it's free for my $1 million VIP clients and the folks in my cohort, which is new, by the way. So if you're interested in this kind of training more often, if you want to work with me, I am launching a $1 million cohort for 3 teams. It's private group coaching and training in a cohort for development teams. Up to 3 people can join. And it's for teams it's a priority for you to raise 5, 6, and 7-figure gifts. So you get access to my entire training vault. You get weekly coaching in a group with me in a cohort. If you're interested in learning more about that, I'm not going to go into all the details. If you want to learn more, if that might be the next step for you, you can just DM me on LinkedIn, the word cohort, and I'll share more details. There's absolutely no pressure to do that. Not at all. If you want to sign up for the August training, great. If you join the cohort and it's a good fit for you, then you will get included in that training for free and all of the future ones. So that's it for me for today. Thank you so much for your time and for your great questions. And you're going to get an email with this recording, with a slide deck, and with all the tools. Okay, so don't you worry. And I'm so grateful for your time. I really hope you feel encouraged. I hope you raise more than you need, and that you actually let people help you. And yeah, you have fun and do it in a sustainable way. And if you want, connect on LinkedIn, connect with me. I'd love to connect with you. So that's where I hang out the most. Thank you so much and have a great day, everybody.